Hello, I'm Marla Holt, author. I write smart, sexy romance about heroines with agency and heroes with heart. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why I love NaNoWriMo so much. So I have mentioned a few times that I had a hard time starting writing. When I finished, I have a degree in writing. Like I went to school for creative writing back um, way back when when I was in college, and that after I graduated, I don't think I wrote anything at all consistently for about 3 years, maybe a little bit more. And it was super frustrating because like here I had this degree and I was working in, first coffee shops, and then in a professional position that had absolutely nothing to do with what I went to school for. And and like I could not get a job writing or for a magazine or anything. And I was not doing anything writing related in my personal life. I wasn't working on anything, and it was just a rough time. Like I wanted to be writing desperately wanted to be writing, and I'd been participating in NaNoWriMo off and on over the years, and I'd never won one. I'd never, I wasn't starting writing, so I wasn't finishing writing. And when you're having trouble starting writing, it's really hard to tackle something like NaNoWriMo as a first time thing. But I got really really frustrated with myself, and in 2014, so about 6 years ago now, I got really frustrated with myself because I had this degree and I had the desire and I had like ostensibly the time. I just didn't have the brain power, I guess, for lack of a better word, to like stick with it. Like I just didn't feel like I could do it. Like every word that I wrote was under scrutiny. Nothing was good enough. Like I wanted to sit down and I was freaking myself out every time I did because I was afraid that everything that I was writing was absolute crap. And so that was keeping me from writing. And this is going to sound really super counterintuitive when I keep talking, but so I was afraid that everything was awful. And so I would second guess everything. I would delete all of my words. I would go back and forth. I wouldn't know how to phrase things. I would let like little things trip me up because I didn't know how to talk about them. And so I just get stuck and I'd stop and I wouldn't go back to it for weeks or months or years at this point. And so and I just got fed up. And so I had the short story from college. It was the only short story I had from college that I liked at all. Um, and I had that, and I had always kind of wanted to maybe do something more with it or revise it. And I was just like, you know what? I have this. The start of it could make kind of a good first chapter. It needed revised completely. The beginning of the other lane no longer resembles the short story, the other lane, in the slightest, except for that it takes place in the same building. That's it. Anyway, the I just was like, you know what, I have this. It could be the start of a story, and let's sit down and finish it. And this year, whatever comes out is what's going to be a book, and we're going to write 50,000 words in November, and we're going to win NaNoWriMo, and we're going to prove to ourselves that we can write a book because we went to school to learn how to write a book, and it's been 3 years and you haven't done anything. So, so I sort of like bullied myself into starting, and it was just like whatever comes out comes out. Like if the words are awful, it's fine because the whole point of NaNoWriMo is just to write 50,000 words in a month just to prove to yourself that you can. And so, and if you're going by like the old school rules of NaNoWriMo, which um, is that you lock away your editor, you don't edit as you go, you just write. My municipal liaison was even like, don't delete anything. Don't. Your delete button does not exist. Your backspace key doesn't exist during November. Just keep going. You write a super awkward sentence, that just means that you get, 6 more words as you make it even more awkward, but try to make it make sense. And I just thought that was the most brilliant thing ever. Like, is that through just trying to get your thoughts out of your head in however messy they come, you actually like get your words down enough to finish a story. And that was what I ended up doing that November. And I've done that every November, minus 2016, since. And I'm going to be doing it again come in the next couple of weeks. I have a whole story um, started in my head. I know what it's going to be about. Um, but like when I sat down to write the other lane, I didn't really know until like 3 days before November that that was what I was going to work on. All I had decided was that I was going to do it that year, and it took me that long to figure out like that was going to be my starting place. And my municipal liaison, who for the county that I live in, she um, only writes during NaNoWriMo. She writes once a year. She never has her idea until like the day of, and she's a total pantser. Like, and I love it because that's the way I do it too. I do not enjoy plotting, and and so NaNoWriMo is like my sort of event. Now you can plot through October. I know there's a bunch of people who like sell planners or like um, just sort of lead planning sessions through Facebook or Instagram and stuff, like how to plan your novel during October so that you have a good and easier time writing during November. I just kind of do all of that in my head, if that makes sense. And I'm going to sort of talk a little bit about how I came up with my characterization and all that stuff here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I just really like it because it helps you learn how to get out of your way. And I think that if you are having trouble finishing a draft, that tackling it with sort of like the old school NaNoWriMo rules, where it's where you just sit down and you give yourself a time limit and you write as much as you can in like 10 minutes or 25 minutes and try to get as many words as possible out. And um, it's not about quantity or quality when you're doing this. It's about getting the idea out of your head. So I know a lot of people who get really caught up on the word count. Like they're like, I need to get these many words in a day. But it's the word count doesn't mean anything if you're not moving your story along, if that makes sense. Like if you're just writing words to get words down, like you could technically win an NaNoWriMo, but it's probably not going to be um, as fulfilling of an experience as if you're just thinking about what words in this moment help me get out this idea that's in my head the quickest and the most succinct. And then you go back and you revise it later into the best possible version that it could be. Because that's the difference between, because I've read some stuff about like quality over quantity, and I don't as like as a critique of sort of this style that I advocate. Like I love the idea of shitty first drafts, just like getting down and getting your idea out, and then making the words better later. Because if you're stuck on making the words, or if you're stuck on writing something that is profound and award-winning prose, or my thing was that I was afraid like some white dude publisher was going to think that everything that I wrote was crap because I came from this environment that really worshipped the canon and all this stuff that I wasn't a huge fan of, and my writing style wasn't like that, and I wasn't ever going to be able to write anything like that. So why was I even trying? Like if you're getting stuck on thoughts like that, like just pushing that out of the way and saying, hey, like this is my idea. I need to get my idea out of my head, and I'm going to get out of my own way and let the words that I have available to me now out and down on paper or like on your word processor or whatever. Get those out in a way that works and that is efficient, and then not worry about the quality of the words right now, because I know that I have better quality in me, but maybe to get the words out of my head, I can't be second guessing the quality all the time. And so, and that's where I see a lot of people get tripped up, is that they're um, putting up these mental blocks that they have to jump over every single time. And so they're getting stopped and not being able to move forward. And so the idea behind NaNoWriMo is that you have a bunch of people who are trying to push past all of those blocks as quickly as possible. And so you've got the community spirit of people being like, you can do it, just keep writing, you've got it. And like, and so I just like the camaraderie of it. And I know it's not for everybody, but I want to say that you should possibly give it a try if you're if any of this resonates with you at all. I am Tiny Dino on uh, the NaNoWriMo website. I actually use it constantly, like all year long. I use it like for all my project trackers. So you'll see like all my covers for my published books on there. If you friend me and go look at my stuff, which you should totally add me as a buddy. I will add you back and we can talk about NaNoWriMo together. My next video is totally going to be about how I like came up with my character and where he's going, and how you can kind of like plan without plotting and kind of get to know who and what is going to happen in your book, even if you don't feel like writing it down, because I never do, or just talking about like how to approach sort of character development in a way that isn't like character interview sheets and all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about next time. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rant about NaNoWriMo. My newest book, Haunted Attraction, just came out. It's available on Kindle through Kindle Unlimited, and it's a haunted house romance. It's kind of it's a romance with just a little bit of spooky. There's a little bit of ghost story. There's a dual timeline. There's and it's just got a little bit of sort of mystery suspense feel to it. But it's also just like the super cozy like Halloween time fall read. I'm super happy with how it came out, and I hope you enjoy it too if you check it out. Anyway, so you can follow me on Instagram at Marla Holt Author, and my website is marlaholt.com, and I hope you join me there and subscribe and follow for how we're going to be talking about NaNoWriMo and coming up with a story real quick in the next few weeks. Thanks.